Hello and welcome. We're going to do some collaging, but we're going to use layer mask to do it, and we're going to do some creative compositing or collaging. And start with this woodsy type scene, and it's rather boring in some respects. I like the stone that's growing out here. I mean, they're almost seems to be like they're cut evenly, 4 different slabs of stone. So I mean, it was just kind of interesting to see the stone there and the rust coming out. So we've got some iron ore, I guess, in the rocks, and we've got lichen growing everywhere and moss hanging over it. It's an okay image as far as that goes. But I want to add something that makes it more interesting. So I'm going to just take another image from another spot in the same area. This is Bellsmith Springs. And I'm just going to select this whole image, Control A, which puts bounding box or marching ants around the entire image, and a Control C, C as in coat. And then I'm going to go over to the original image and do a Control V as in victory. And you see over here in the layers palette we have these 2 layers. Now I kind of want to drop this down so I only have the water, so I'm going to turn on the move tool. I'm going to press the letter V as in victory, just the letter, not any control key or anything like that. And I'm going to just drag that down a bit. And now I'm going to put a layer mask on layer 1. And that's the icon down here that looks like a square donut. It's a square with a hole in the middle. And that gives us this layer mask. Turn on a paintbrush or press the letter B, B as in boy. And here's the some of the stuff you need to do to make this look good. We need this to be a very soft brush, so turn the hardness all the way over to the left. That's 0 hardness. And then we want to make the brush probably around 30%, because we want this to be a gradual thing. The brush size needs to be fairly large for this particular image. We can make the brush smaller and larger with the left and right bracket key. The bracket key is located to the right of the letter P. P as in Papa. And I'm just going to now paint with black. If you don't have black and white over here, just press the letter D as in dog, and the 2 default colors will come up. If black isn't on top, simply press the X key. X is in an X-ray, and it'll toggle back and forth between the foreground and background color. And now I'm just going to paint, and you see it gradually is painting the other image away, the one that's on top, getting rid of those edges. And I'm going to take that on down. I want to see the stone, so just keep going down until we like what we've got. And we can just keep blending these 2 together. I want more water, so I'm going to bring this down even more. So I'm going to press the letter V as in victory and bring some more water down here. And that's going to change our mask, okay, because we've already gotten rid of some of the water here. So back over here, make sure that the mask is selected. And now we turn on a brush, press the letter B, and we want to paint with white to bring some of that back. So we'll just press the letter X, and that toggles that back. So now we paint, and we bring some of the water back in. Now up here we've got some of the other scenes, so I'm going to press the letter X again to paint with black, and we can make some of that go away that's still up here. And I'm going to make my brush smaller, left bracket key, and just paint along the edge of that. Again, press letter X to paint with white, which will bring this back through. Actually, I'm sorry, this layer will show better. So we've changed this image into this simply with masking this top layer. Back over here, let's see, let's paint with black and get rid of some of that dark area that's up in there. Now if you paint with 100%, you'll see you can go really drastic really quickly. So press X to paint with white, and we can bring all that back very quickly. And we can also bring more back if we want to. See, it's still blended. It looks like we've got a creek going back into the woods now. Press the letter X, and then we're painting with black. And let's just say we want to bring back the first row, but not the second or the bottom row. So we can just paint like that. So it can be very creative. Now you notice the trees don't really match up. We don't have these two trees standing up here. A lot of people are not even going to catch that. But if that bothers you, you can certainly, get rid of these two trees in the reflection. Simple enough by using the different healing tools. We're not going to go into that today because we're just going to stick to bringing these collages together. Sorry, I'm going to make that a little harder line along there. There we go. So we have really changed this more blah scene by simply adding that. Kind of dramatic, isn't it? Now we've got some stuff over here that we didn't clone out, so we can paint on that too. Make that go away. Or we can, let more of the bottom or top show, sorry, by pressing X, and we can have more of the stuff from the other scene show. It's totally our call what we let come back in. We can really totally change the image. Now we've gone too far up here, and that's what happens when you're on 100%. I really like to work around 30%. And we'll make that a little bit bigger and change that to black. Make some of this go back away. Doesn't mean we can't keep some of it. It's totally our call. Make that completely go away. We can really have some cool results from combining images through layer masking. We've got that back up in there, kind of hard. Alright, let's be done with this one. So just get rid of that, and we'll get rid of this one. And now we're going to work on something totally different. Down in the Smoky Mountains, there's a Ripley's Aquarium, and went there last spring break, had a great time. But inside here is a lot of fun. Lots of things to see, penguins and sharks and tortoises, all kinds of things in a natural environment. And I thought this would be a good one to play with just a little bit. So I'm going to bring in some images. Let's see here. Yeah, I want this one. I'll make that smaller so you can see it all. We're actually going to bring this image outside to make that front look pretty interesting. So I'm going to do a Control A to select this whole image. Let me make that small enough to see it. And here we go. And a Control C to copy it. That's Command C on a Mac. and then we go back to the original image and we do a Control V. Now I'm not real worried about how big the things are that I bring in for a collage. Now if they're, you know, off the wall different, then I'm going to resize it. But a lot of times I just bring it in to the image I want to work off of and I transform it. And that's what I'm going to do. In this particular case, I want this to kind of fit, let me go back here. I want this to fit down here in this area. So let me turn that back on, and I'm going to do a Control T. T as in Tango, Command T on a Mac, and I'm going to make it about that size. And I'm going to double click inside this, or I can hit the Enter key to make the transform complete. And now I go down to the layer mask, click on the square donut icon, and that creates the mask right here. And this collage that I'm demoing today is all about layer masks. And hopefully you see the power that's behind masking from these examples. So again, I need to turn on the paintbrush if it's not still on, and I'm going to paint with black. Again, I want it to be around 30%, and I need my brush to be bigger. And the first thing I always do is go after these edges to soften them up so they blend together. So I just keep going over those edges until you don't even see the straight line anymore. I think that's kind of crucial to start with that. And we just keep going. Now, if we were doing straight photography and repairing an image, if it had spots on an image, and we used to do this in photography school, we would start with a lighter color and gradually work it, put new paint down, just like we're erasing here, until you no longer even notice it. It just blends in. And I don't want to erase the skeletal artifacts here of the prehistoric creature. I'm just wanting everything to softly go away. And I'm going to keep some of the people here, maybe not real harsh, just kind of have them there. And we go around here, and with this large of a brush, when I get close to the surface of what I want to keep, it still erases or hides part of it because it's so soft. It's kind of like overspray. So what I do, don't need that up in there, so I just keep going over that to blend it, clicking. Every time I move it, I'm clicking so I can resample. Now come in here closer. I'm doing a Control spacebar, holding those down, or Command spacebar and clicking. And you can see a little bit through the bones here. So I'm going to make my brush smaller, and I'm going to switch to white. Press the letter X, and now I can paint back some of the information that I hid. And if I go 100%, I can certainly do that much quicker. And then I need to kind of get rid of some of that other, but not at 100%. So press X to let the bottom layer show through. And we don't have to be real precise with this. We're just blending information. And I'll make this a little bit bigger. Get this in here. And now, like I say, I'm going to kind of let these people be in here. I'm going to do a Control minus, make that a little bit smaller. and look at the people. If I paint with white, press the letter X here, and go down to where these people are, I can make them show a little bit better. And press X. I'm going to try and make some of that blue go away and maybe fade this person out. So if I turn the eye off and on, you see we've made a pretty dramatic change. I'm going to go up here and get rid of some more of this. I like this being there, this background with the stone and the leaves and everything. So I'm okay with what I've got here. Maybe a little bit more right around there. Now it's time for another image. So I was thinking about this image of the jellyfish. I think this might be a man-o-war. We can put that in the top right. I'm going to do a Control A to select everything. Control C or Command C on a Mac to copy it. Go back to the image, and let's do a Control 0 so we can see this top right. Still got a little too much there. Alright, so now I'm going to do a Control V to paste. Control V, V is in victory, and there's our man-o-war. I'm going to do a Control T as in tango to turn on our transform tool. And with the I'm going to go to the bottom left corner, hold down my shift key, and drag that up and put something like that in that top. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to double click inside the bounding box or press the enter key, and the transform is complete. I'm going to go down here, click on the layer mask icon, the square donut. Here we've got our mask. Again, we paint with black to reveal what's underneath, and we're at 29%. Make my brush a little bit bigger, right bracket key, and we just start painting. Remember, we want that hard edge first to go away. Same thing over here. Whoops, didn't mean to drag that out. Pop that back in, get back over here. We don't have to, really make a lot of that disappear. We can kind of blend this, and we want that glass to show through there, and we can move it over further. I'm going to press the letter V, which turns on the move tool, and we'll just drag that over some more and turn back our brush, turn it back on, maybe go around that just a little bit, but we don't want to hide any of this. We can just paint around those edges, and you could, you can leave as much of this blue as you want. Now there are so many images and the quality is so high that it's just too much for me to put these on the internet, so you're going to have to work on your own images to collage them similarly. Just kind of find a common theme of things to go together. I can kind of go around here if I want to lighten that up, and that lets the background show through a little bit. It's totally our call. If we don't, we're not satisfied with that, press the letter X to bring white back up, and we turn right around and can paint any of that back in that we want to. Alright, now we've got a kind of a line here because we've inset that image there. So we can go back down to where the bones are and see that's got that straight edge right there. We can actually blend that some more, painting on that mask. And we can do the same thing on the edge of that. So I got this kind of blended a little nicer. It takes too long sometimes to do that while recording. we've kind of got this dinosaur head showing through back there. We could bring that back a little bit more. Which is kind of cool. So I'm masking right here, and we can go up and mask some more right here. That brings back that original layer. And again, we can paint in a little bit to get that blue to go away. We can be as detailed about this as we want. And we can even get up in between the beak there. Now let's bring in another image. So let's go over and we'll use this penguin image. So let me do a Control 0 here so you can see all of it. Do a Control A to copy or to select it all. Control C or Command C on a Mac to copy it back to the original image, and do a Control V. And now you see we actually pasted this underneath the jellyfish. I'm going to go ahead and just put that on top. And what I want to do is put that down here in the bottom corner. So let's turn that back on and Control T, come up here to the top right corner, hold the Shift key down, and let's just maybe have it about that size. Double click inside or hit the Enter key, go back over here to the layer mask, click it. Now we've got our layer mask. We paint with black and it reveals what's below. Again, we want those edges to blend. We're going to do something a little bit different when we get over here. Just make that go invisible and paint along here. Just keep going until that all just blends together. Now I'm going to make this beak, I'm going to do a Control space bar click a few times, and I'm going to fix it to where we can paint back the dinosaur skeleton here coming into this other image. If we go too far, we just paint with the other color. Press X and we paint some of that back out of there. X again. Alright, so we don't need this top corner up here. I'm going to make my brush bigger. Just kind of blend that out a little bit. Some over here too. Oops. Now get back on the mask. Always check and make sure you don't get the tool deselected. Let's do a Control minus, and you see now what we've created here. Just kind of paint that in. And we've got a little depth going here. Now we could also, I don't really want to crowd this too much. I want to move this over a little bit. So click on that layer, turn on the move tool, or press the letter V as in victory, and we can slide that over some more. Now we hid some of this to put the beak in, so we've got to come back over here on the layer mask and paint with white with the brush. Bring that back. We've got kind of a line there we don't want, so I'm going to turn that back to black, paint some more of that. I want to bring in some water and put it in here. So let me find what I did with the water. Here's some water. Make that smaller so you can see it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to try to make a selection, I'm just going to do the same thing here that I did the other. I'm going to do a Control A to select it all, Control C to copy it, Command C on a Mac, and come back over to the original image and do a Control V, and of course it's huge, so we get more than what we bargained for perhaps. But what we're going to do is put that down on the bottom down here. I don't know what it's going to look like, but we'll see. We need to click on the little layer mask icon, the square donut, and we're going to paint with black, and let's turn that puppy on. Let's do a Control T to make this much smaller. So hold down your Shift key. I'm going to make it something like this. I'm actually going to blend these rocks together just so you can see how that's going to look. Double click inside that bounding box or press enter, and we're going to make sure the mask out here is highlighted, and again we start painting with around 30%. We don't want this youngster there, so we kind of get rid of that. We'll just blend these things together a little bit and blend these rocks. Get rid of those harsh edges up here. Didn't think that would blend, did you, like that? Now we just have to zoom in here a little bit, and we'll paint with black so we can bring those bones in here. Let me zoom back out, Control minus, and you see what we have. We can bring back some of that rock if we want to. We go back over to this layer, make sure this is highlighted, and we paint with white now, and we bring some of that back. It was underneath. Got some of that hard edge going on up there. We paint that out. Alright, Control 0 so we can see the whole image. Well, as you can see, we've created I think a more interesting image. You got the penguins here, you've got stingrays down here in their own rock formations, which blends with this rock formation. You have a crowd of people looking up in here that are walking across this rail. We've got this skeleton here, we've got the jellyfish up here. There's certainly a lot more things that we could play with to make it even more interesting, but hopefully this gives you an idea of what we can do when we use these layer masks. Let me turn this all off so you can see what we had before we started fiddling around, and then just turn all that back on. I think you can really have some fun, and certainly go out and do a shoot one day, shoot lots of different things. A friend of mine was a big time golfer, and he shot his golf clubs, he shot himself, or had somebody take a photograph of him and holding a golf club, swinging and so forth. He had all kinds of different golf things, and he collaged them much like you see here and created a whole golf scene with it. So you can, create things with your camera, bring them into Photoshop and do it, or just, take scenics, take vacation shots and collage them together. Have some fun. That's the key. Talk to you all later. Bye-bye.